Hey guys. Hey everybody. It's me, Steph again. Back with the learning project. We're going to be getting things started here. We'll get you guys filled in here pretty soon. Let me see what's going here. Wait for a few people to get on. I don't know if you guys know who this is, but this is Chill Talk. They are so amazing. I feel like they have a beat for every move. Thank you guys so much for joining me for part 2 at the learning project. So excited. So excited. Okay. Hey, Mom. Let's get some things going. If you are a part of my class, the 30-hour STARS training online, you guys, we are on fire, okay? We are on fire tonight. And I just want to invite everybody to come out, enjoy themselves, participate. Feel free to put comments in the group chat. Let's just talk about what we do, you guys. I think there's not a lot of sharing space on any platform, I feel like, when it comes to training and being able to collaborate. And that's what we want to do here at the Learning Project. We want to create a space where we can share our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences, and give something new. I think it's so important. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer here. Very grateful for everyone today that came to my course. Our course is going really great. Our platform that we're using is Open Learning, and it's been a really great platform for that I work with and the students that we work with. So I'm very grateful. And I'll probably show you a little bit of my classroom later on so that you guys can, if you have people that are looking for training, especially the 30-hour STARS training, you guys hit me up. I would love to be able to connect with you and help you guys along this journey. All right, guys, let's do it. Feel like we're ready for this. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining me for part 2 of our health and safety. I think it's really important for us to be able to have this platform, to be able to talk, to be able to share. So I'm really excited. So let me turn the music down. Let's get it started. Let's talk. Let's share. Let's dive into this, finish up this health practice piece, and do what we do. So health practice part 2, module number 8, it's about how to, well, we're basically, let me just say it like this. We're going to be focusing on wellness, nutrition, fitness, and we're going to be introducing all of the different WAC practices that go along with this that are required. So in the classroom, you're going to have a ton of WACs that you're going to need to look up. I want to remind you that if you have to look up a WAC and you're not sure about it or you have questions, drop the WAC right into Facebook and let's talk about it. Let's collaborate. Let's see what people's experiences are. I know we're going to be doing a thing called Wednesday WAC. And basically what we're going to be doing is looking at different WACs. People are going to be sharing their experiences with it and maybe things that they have questions about. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. I know like people are like, why do you want to focus on licensing? It really is something that rules what we do. You know what I mean? A lot of times people will be scared to do certain things and like, that's licensing. And it's not licensing. It's just a best practice. And we want to do best practice so we do not put ourselves in a pickle at all. But I just want to remind you of that. So we will have all of the different WACs available in the classroom. We're going to read through those. Those are requirements, so go through them. Do not skip. The next part that we are going to jump right into is we are going to be talking about washing hands. I know what you're thinking. Stephanie, why are we talking about washing hands? We know how to wash our hands. We are grown. Well, I have one word for y'all. Corona. Okay? Washing hands is not something that all adults do. So we have to revisit all of this so that we can do what is right and we can really create a healthy and safe environment that we work in and kids. So when do we wash our hands? We're going to wash our hands before, during, and after preparing food. A lot of times what I see people do is they will wash their hands before they prep a meal, but sometimes they forget to wash their hands after they prep a meal. Maybe even during, if you get something on your hand, taking that time to stop and actually wash your hands. But the thing is too, you should always be wearing food handlers gloves, okay? That is going to give you that extra layer of protection. The gloves don't protect always the germs, okay? You have to wash your hands still, okay? You want to wash your hands before eating, before and after caring for someone who is sick. Oh my gosh. I will tell you what, I will never forget this one time. One time don't judge me. Do not judge me, okay? Because we all have been there. I had this little one like getting ready. I was a teacher at the time, getting ready to like throw up everywhere. And I don't know if it was like a mother intuition. I don't know what you want to call it, but I knew that this kid was literally going to throw up everywhere. And so I like took off running because I was like, I am not scrubbing this floor. And I tried to grab the garbage can, but for some reason it like dropped out of my hand. I just grabbed my hands, put my hands together and just stuck it right under. He just threw up all in my hands. And I was like, this is disgusting. And I can't believe I did this, but I don't have to clean the floor, but I will be cleaning my hands. So again, taking care of a child, don't do that, y'all. Don't judge me, but don't do that. But maybe some of y'all have done it, but we'll keep that on the hush. But anyways, so washing your hands before and after you take care of a sick child, making sure that you wash your hands before and after treating like a wound or a cut, making sure that you wash your hands after toileting. Yes, please, and thank you. Before and during and after diaper changes or cleaning up when a child has used the toilet. One of the things that I really want to see more of, just from just everyone talking about it, is talking about our toilet practices. You know, a lot of times people will have a bunch of kids use a toilet, they don't spray it in between, just because honestly, like, we're not spraying our toilet in between when we're at home. You have to have different health practices when you're working with children and you're in a very busy environment. I have a really good poster that I will post that is about stand-up procedures. So a lot of centers, when they're potty training, the child has to stand up and get their diaper changed versus laying on the ground or laying on a diaper changing table. A lot of people are like, that's crazy. Why aren't you using a diaper changing table? That is normal. In most centers, we don't have diaper changing tables when we're doing potty training, because we have to teach the child how this sensation works. How does this feeling work? How does potty training work? If you poop on yourself, you're not going to put yourself on the changing table to change yourself. You're going to have to stand up and you're going to have to do that. And so that's an important piece. But when you do the stand up procedure, do you know that after you finish wiping that child down and helping that child change, you're supposed to spray and sanitize and clean that area, so that when that child is has gone and a new child come through, we don't have pee or poop on the floor at all, or anything that would cause some kind of outbreak. So it's really important that you are spraying on that, and you want to use the strong bleach when you do spraying on the floor. You also want to make sure that after blowing your nose, or you're wiping those little ones' noses, sneezing, coughing, you're washing your hands. You want to make sure that after touching a pet or an animal, you're washing your hands or as needed. Especially for those kids that have allergies. If you eat some peanut butter, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you are not bringing that peanut butter, those peanut butter particles, keeping them on your hands and touching the kids, because you can cause a child to have an allergic reaction. So when you're doing diaper changing, we're going to talk about the process. I think I should just actually show you what this looks like, because I think it's a lot easier to go over. Well, that's what a lot of the other teachers tell me. They're like, Stephanie, you should just show us. And I said, you know what? I am going to show you guys. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And then I do want to remind you, you're going to have lots of videos on this section. So bear with me. Don't be mad at me. Just bear with me. Go through the videos, watch them. I know they're really dry, and you're going to be like, really? Somebody made a video of this? Yes. Someone made a video because someone needed an example. Okay. So everybody learns different. Okay. So let's talk about diaper changing process. Okay. You want to prepare everything before you even get the child on the diaper changing table. Okay. So you want to make sure you have your gloves available. You want to make sure you have your diaper, their wipes, clothes close by, just in case you have to change their clothes. Because like I know, sometimes the diaper can be deceiving, and you will have more of a mess than what you think, and you really need to work that out. One of the best practices is to pull out the wipes, maybe like 5 wipes or 4 wipes, so that you can make sure you get everything cleaned up. So one, you're going to wash your hands, you're going to gather your materials, put on disposable gloves on your hand. This is a best practice. I know there are some centers, they don't use gloves, and that is, I didn't realize that was a thing, but a lot of people do not wear gloves because they might be allergic to the latex, or that child might be allergic to latex. And so but we do recommend that you wear gloves, because again, it's on tons of posters. It keeps you protected. You never know what a child may have. So I definitely recommend it. So you put your gloves on, you place the child on the table gently, and you remove the diaper. You dispose of the diaper in a hands-free garbage can. That means you don't have to open the lid to put the diaper in. You have to use a foot pedal to open the garbage to put it in there, okay? And this can't be like your garbage can that you use for everything. It has to be specifically for diapers. Then once you do that, you're going to clean the child's area from front to back, okay? Again, front to back. Don't go back to front, because that is going to give the child the opportunity to have a infection, and you do not want that. Okay. Also, too, there are some best practices. Like, once you actually dispose of the diaper in the trash can, some people will have them take their gloves off, and then they'll wipe their hands with a wipe, and then wipe the child's hands with a wipe. So that way it's that hand washing process. So it kind of cuts down on a lot of those germs. Then you would put on like the diaper. However, if you have to put on ointment or something like that, keep your gloves on, put the ointment on or something like that, or you can change out your gloves. It totally depends on what your protocols are at your center. But you want to apply that cream, the ointment, and you remove your gloves. So example, that just let us know, remove the gloves after you put on the ointment. You're going to wash your hands with the wet wipe, then you put on the diaper. You dress the child, wash the child's hands with soap and water. The reason why some people wash the child's hands right after they wash their hands is because sometimes kids like to put their hands in their diaper. So that's kind of that process. And then you're going to place the child in a safe place, and then you're going to clean and disinfect the diapering area or any equipment touched, and then you wash your hands again. So that is how you do that. We are going to talk about meal preparation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here because I wanted to make sure you have that. When we're talking about meal preparation, there's an interesting fact here. It says each year 1 in 6 Americans get sick by eating food or drink or beverages that are contaminated by poison, chemicals, or germs. Makes me want to throw up. Foodborne illnesses are often called food poisoning. Children are especially vulnerable to food illnesses due to their smaller bodies and sizes and their underdeveloped immune system. It is critical for food safety to be maintained in all areas as far as preparation, making sure you have a clean kitchen, making sure that you have proper bowls, and then make sure you're covering that food so stuff doesn't get dropped down in the food. Also, when you are a cook or you are serving food at all, I just made it a huge thing. Everybody in the center basically has to have a food handler's permit in order to be in the center and actually serve food at all. So this is something that is part of the orientation, and you typically go through this quite a bit. So just to kind of give you a heads up. The other thing I want to just give you a heads up about is when you are having, it depends on what you do. Right now, everybody has stopped having the children serve their food, which is family style dining, allowing the children to pass the bowl around and scoop their own food and different things like that. That's creating independence. That's creating a lot of experience for them, because so many kids don't eat at the table. You guys, I love family food or family style dining. Woo, mouthful. I love it because you can get some great laughs at the table. And I think so many kids miss that. You know, they're eating in front of the TV, they're eating in their room, they're eating alone, but like to sit with the people that you love and be able to just talk with them and ask them questions about themselves. At the Learning Project in our resource area, we're going to have little cards that you can print off, laminate, put them at your table, and pull out different questions that you can ask the kids. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite food? I always tell teachers, you can't discipline a child or redirect a child that you don't even know. If you don't even know what their favorite color is, you don't know what their favorite food is, you don't know who's in their home, how dare you even try to redirect them, because you have no relationship with them. So, you know, what we do is very relational, and we have to use a very high level of people skills when we're working with children. And we're teaching them, it's so weird. I just want you to think about this for a minute. We have to teach them all of the social rules in society. Okay? I'm going to say that again. We are teaching children all of the social rules in society. For example, Biting people is not acceptable. You can't just be biting folks, okay? You cannot slap a friend. You cannot pull their hair. You cannot just go over to your friend's plate and start eating their food because you want more peaches and you didn't ask for them. So, these are things that we have to teach them and help them along the way. And so, I want to remind you of that, and I want you to keep that in mind. So in this section, there is a huge part that goes over as far as food temperature goes, bacteria zones. There's going to be tons of videos that you guys are going to watch, so please watch them. We're going to be covering pieces that are going to be important key points when you're serving food and all that stuff. Leftover food previously served outside your center, you cannot serve, okay? Home canned food, you cannot serve. Donated foods from restaurants, you cannot serve. Deer, those meats that are considered game, you cannot serve those meats. Donated meat such as fish, poultry, or milk, you cannot serve those things in your center. You have to go out and purchase them. A lot of people are they do connect like with the food program, so they have to have receipts and different things like that for their paperwork. And so you want to make sure that you are following those rules, and that way we can keep kids safe. You know what I mean? Like some of these things, I'm like, shoot, I wish we could do. That would be so cool if we could, go to the market and get canned foods and different things like that. But you know what? That's not something we can do. It's something that we have to maybe do in the center. I'm like, there's ways that you can give kids experiences. It just depends on how you want to go about doing that. So the numbers to remember as far as temperatures are 41 Fahrenheit or cooler. That's the safety spot as far as food temperature. And then hot or hotter, that is the safety zone there. So please remember that is extremely important, and you will need to keep those numbers in mind. So when you are handling food, we want to reduce the spread of illness and disease. You want to wash your hands and make sure that children's hands are frequently washed as well. So you want to take these simple steps in making sure things are clean. You want to make sure that when you're handling food that you are not near like a diaper changing table. You want to make sure that that you have disinfected the tables and the chairs and different things like that before the kids sit down. You want to make sure that each bottle is stored properly. A lot of infant rooms will have like little refrigerators and things like that. Make sure you're cleaning out your refrigerator and you're spraying your doors and you're spraying all that stuff, because again, bacteria can happen anywhere and you do not want your kids getting sick. I know a lot of centers have gone to a best practice of there's two different preparation I don't want to say stages, but stations. There's two different stations for preparation, one for food and one for diaper changing. And if they're close together, there has to be a barrier between the two so there's no cross contamination. So that's something, if those families out there are looking for centers, make sure you're looking for those kind of things, because a lot of times you may be in a situation where you're at a center where cross contamination is happening constantly and your baby's sick. You don't want that. So make sure that you are doing your part in your research and being more informed. So let's talk about infant nutrition. So infants should be fed when they are hungry. They should always be held when they're being fed a bottle. I'm going to say that again. They need to be held when they're being fed a bottle. The reason why, we're going to go back to research. We're going to go back to the why. Babies need that contact. That is the way they learn. That's the way they connect. They need that face-to-face contact, looking at you, talking with you. I don't know if you've ever seen the video called the still face baby. And basically the mom, she's got like a still face and the baby's like trying to interact with her, and he starts getting really frustrated and crying and like feeling uncomfortable. And then the mom starts engaging with the baby and the baby starts smiling and he's happy. You can tell he's not as stressed as he was. And so, this is something you want to keep in mind as you're moving forward and working with your babies and making sure that you are scheduling their times out so that you can spend that time with them. You also want to make sure that feeding time should be a pleasant time with caregiver, making sure that you're making eye contact, like I was saying. Breastfeeding is the best food for an infant. And child care providers have a unique opportunity to support and encourage mothers to continue to breastfeed their infant. There are a lot of centers that have breastfeeding areas or have breastfeeding chairs in the classrooms for families to come in and breastfeed like during their lunchtime and different things like that. Or you can use like a bottle, put breast milk in that, and then they can store it in the classrooms and all that good stuff, and they'll kind of send it in and out. Some infants may be receiving infant formula, which is fine. Infants under 12 months of age should be receiving breast milk or formula, not cow's milk. I know some people want their little one to be on cow's milk right away. That is not happening. You have to wait for their one in order to do that, unless you have like some kind of doctor's note or something. Solid food should be introduced between 5 and 7 months of age, when an infant can sit up by themselves and hold their head and engage in feeding by opening their mouth when they want food and closing the mouth and turning away when they are full. Juice should not be offered in the infant room. Okay. Juice should not be offered in the infant room. Do not give that baby apple juice because he's backed up. That you cannot do that. Okay. Water can be offered in a small cup for infants over 6 months of age. Do not feed infants honey or food with honey because it's a risk of a rare but serious condition that could, it's called, oh my goodness, my brain just went completely blank how to say this, but it is, I'm going to spell it for you. Botulism. I'll put it in our classroom so that you can see it. It will come to me, and when it does come to me, I'll just blurt it out because that's typically what I do. At 8 to 9 months, you begin to actually introduce table foods such as small pieces, cooked vegetables and meats, chickens and turkeys and soft fruits, things like that. Please make sure that you know what a family wants their child to eat. The reason why I say this is because a lot of times we're like, oh, it's time for them to eat food. Oh, it's time for them to do this. Oh, it's time for them to do this. And we spend so much time with children. Sometimes it can feel like, oh, we are the person that is caring for them. We're going to be making these decisions. But honestly, you have to work with that family, and you need to make sure that they are really partnering with you. If they're not partnering with you, then what happens is you lose that opportunity to have a strong bond with them. So, and some people are vegetarians, they're pescatarians, they are vegans. There's so many different food options now. So it's really important for you to partner with that family and know exactly what they want and what they're looking for. Because if you don't know what they want, you don't know what they're looking for, you're going to be playing a guessing game, and that is very dangerous, and you don't want to do that. A child's nutrition. So let's talk about that. So according to regulations, foods must be offered every 2 to 3.5 hours. Snacks or breakfast must be served upon arriving at the morning care. And snacks need to be served to a child after school. Children in care for 5 hours need to be served breakfast or lunch and a snack at the minimum. Basically, if your children are hungry, feed them. Children do not have small stomachs, so they need, I don't really believe this. Children have small stomachs so they don't need a lot of food. That is a lie. Because when pizza day comes, let them kids get 2 pieces of pizza. Somebody is going to get beat up. Them kids love pizza. And you know it. So you want to make sure that you have enough food for them so they can feel full and they can feel good, because then they're going to be really cranky and fussy, and you don't want that. Children also, when they're older, they can speak up for themselves and let you know what they want and what they like and what they don't like. And I think that's really important for us to respect that. An old snack might be 2 teaspoons of applesauce and half a slice of toast. So that is typically what their serving size looks like. There is a serving size chart that is in the classroom, so you can also take a look at that so that you can post it and use it in your classrooms. So I want to give you some examples of the different types of dishes you can dish out. Let me pull this up here. I always tell people this is like the dry part for me of this class, going through this part. But actually it's pretty interesting because like, you're like, sometimes you're like, why do we have to do that? So this really helps you to understand the why and understand how to do it. Okay, so your options here: breakfast must contain fruit or vegetable, 100% juice. No one's serving juice, really. I don't really know any centers that are serving juice because of bottle rot and kids' teeth. So most people will do like milk or something. They'll do a dairy product and then a grain product. So for lunch or dinner, they must have dairy product, a source of protein such as meat, fish, tofu, things like that. And then grain product, and then fruit and vegetable. So again, both fruit and vegetable, or you can do 2 veggies. So it's totally up to you. And then the snack must have a dairy product, source of protein, a grain, or fruit or vegetable. That's something that's really new too. You can find that in the WAC. So take a look at it if you have questions. Some people, some people have told me in the past, like, oh, did that change or something? But the fruit and vegetable is required. So according to the Food Allergy Research and Educational Network, 1 in 13 children in the US have a food allergy. And if you are a cook or anything like that, or, as a teacher, you have to have an allergy list. Okay, if you don't have one, you guys, I really encourage you need to have one. I also encourage people to put pictures with the allergy form so you know what that child looks like. Sometimes there's like so many children. It's like the little old lady that has so many children that lived in the shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. This sometimes can be the possibility of what's happening in the class. There's so many kids, the teacher's just like, okay, let's go here. You need to take time to stop, look over that allergy form, make sure that you know who can have what. Because if you don't know who can have what, then you are going to be putting that child at risk, and that is the most scariest thing ever. If your child goes into anaphylactic shock, or they have some kind of allergic reaction, and you have to explain to that family what's happening. Okay. So I want to talk to you about allergic reactions can happen within minutes or even hours later. Okay. So some of those symptoms that you might see if a child has like red, swollen, dry, or itchy skin, or almost like a rash or hives, that's a sign. Runny nose, sniffling nose, sneezing all night, coughing, that's a sign. Itchy, watery eyes, itchy mouth, or itchy like inside their ears, like all that is the worst, like when your ears are itching. Funny taste in mouth, upset stomach, cramps, throwing up, or diarrhea. Those are all signs of an allergic reaction. Be aware that each child's allergy is going to be different if they do have one. Do not allow children to eat foods they have reacted before. If you see that they have some type of reaction, make sure you log it, make sure you talk to the family, make sure you talk to the director. You want to get everybody in the same communication. Best practice, get an incident report going so that is on file for sure. Do not allow children to eat foods they have reacted before. Like I said, plan and know what to do. There are 8 foods that cause about 90% of allergies, you guys. This is so deep right here. 90% of allergies are basically these ones right here. Milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts such as walnuts, almonds, pine nuts, Brazilian nuts, and pecans, soy, wheat, fish, and shellfish. So those are all of the 90% of children's allergies come from that. Yeah, that's crazy to me because, when you think about it, you think like, oh, I'm going to have all these kids with all of these different allergies. And we're going to have to do so many different things, but really it's just those 8 things. So making sure that your foods don't have a lot of those pieces in them. If you have a kid that's allergic to them, one point at my center, it was so crazy. I had like, I'm not exaggerating, okay, when I say this, I had like 13 kids that had food allergies. You talk about so hard to make sure that everything is balanced the way it's supposed to and always scared? Absolutely, because you have to make sure that you know exactly what each child needs, and you have to make sure you have your reminders up, and you have to make sure that every single food meets every single need. So just keep that in mind. We talked about signs of allergies or anaphylactic symptoms, such as trouble breathing, hives or swelling, tightness of throat, hoarse voice. That's scary, especially kids that sound perfectly fine and all of a sudden they're hoarse. One of my teachers used to do something really interesting, like right before all the kids would go down for a nap, she would say goodnight to each one of them. And I think that's a great check-in just to make sure that there's nothing going on there. Nausea, vomiting, stomach pains, don't ignore that, because there are kids that will tell you that their stomachs hurt and there's something wrong. And just because they say it all the time, sometimes teachers are just like, okay, you're fine. We know you probably got to go poop or your stomach is hungry or something, but don't ignore that, because it really could mean something different. And then when it does mean something different, that is when it gets really scary. Diarrhea, dizziness, fainting, low blood pressure, rapid heartbeat, feeling like almost like dizzy, and then cardiac arrest. So you don't want any of those. Those are all signs of anaphylactic shock. If that ever happens, call 911 immediately, get your director involved. Sometimes children have EpiPens. There is a plan that you have to have on file for children who have severe allergies. Make sure that you have those forms. It's an allergy form plan, and then you have to have like the medication form filled out as well for the actual EpiPen. Make sure that you practice those things frequently with your child that's in your class. Typically, they ask for an EpiPen like in the actual classroom and like in the medication drawer. And then you want to have like an EpiPen, maybe like in an emergency bag that has a lock box or something that's in your emergency bag, because if you have to run out of a classroom and you're not going to have time to grab that EpiPen. So sometimes people request EpiPens for best practice. Dental care. This is something new. We are going to be brushing teeth all the time in the center. So make sure that you are well aware of this and your classroom set up for it. It's about the experience. It's about teaching them how to have healthy hygiene. Getting them started as soon as possible is extremely important. You want to make sure that you avoid like prolong of sippy cup that can cause damage to the teeth. Between meals, you want to make sure that they have drinking water. Also, you want to limit those juices that I was talking about. They are requesting that we brush teeth or do some type of toothbrushing activity once a day. You want to make sure that your families begin their regular examinations when their child is 1. One of the things that I love to do so much, you guys, I love planning, like parties, anything, activities, interviewing. I love doing it. So one of the things I always do is I bring a dental clinic into our center, and they will put on like a little Q&A for the kids. Sometimes they'll get dressed up like the Tooth Fairy and come in and do like a little thing. It depends on what company you go through, but really getting those dental people in here and having them do that for the kids, I think it's extremely important. And then also too, if families don't have dentists, you could pass that information along so that they can get those resources right away. So let's talk about physical activity. We're doing good here, you guys. Hang in there. This is the health part is actually like it has a lot of good content, but it's a lot of dry content, I feel like. But it's also good. Like it's dry, but it's good. I like it, but I don't like it. It's good, it's great. I don't know. So anyways, physical activity. So children are required to go outside. You guys cannot keep kids inside because you don't want to go outside. I'm going to say that again. You cannot keep the kids inside because you don't want to go outside. That includes like if there's a little wind, if it's a little chilly, get their coats on, take them outside. Too many kids spend too much time in secondary activities, which actually causes a huge problem, such as obesity and a lack of fitness. So when a child does not have those activities that it can cause a lot of problems with their immune system. Physical activity provides many benefits, such as better concentration, and you know we want that. Improve energy level, improve ability to handle stress, also increase confidence and self-esteem, opportunities to develop friendships, you guys, that's important, and reduces type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure. So this is really important that children get out there and play. I know a lot of people do like almost like a 90-minute play time frame each day for the kids, so they'll break up that play time so that the kids can go out and play. Children need to be offered sleep. This is part of the WAC. If you have a program that runs, I believe it's over 6 hours, they need to actually have a nap time available. Children need to have also available cots, sheets that go over those cots so that they can, they're not, again, cross contamination. You want to make sure that they have bags that can zip, that allow them to put like their bedding, whatever can fit in the bag. I tell them that's what they can bring. If it doesn't fit in the bag, they cannot bring it, because we can't have loose linen and things like that out and about because of lice, and it's actually, you can get written up for that too. So one of the other things that I want to remind you guys, children who do not sleep on their backs when they are babies, you are putting them at risk for SIDS. This is part of Safe Sleep. I hope that you've done it. If you haven't, I showed you where to go to do that. So it says here, this is an interesting fact, when babies are used to sleeping on their backs, are placed on or are placed to sleep on their tummy by their child care provider, they are 18 times more likely to die from SIDS. Okay. So when babies who are used to sleeping on their backs are placed on their tummies by their child care provider, they are 18 times more likely to die from SIDS. I don't know about you, but that is something I do not want on my head. I do not want on my shoulders. I do not want that responsibility. So make sure that you are not putting children at risk, because it's something that's easier for you. Using safe sleep equipment is the first step in creating a safe sleep environment. So making sure that you use approved sleep equipment. Don't just try to make your own. Don't try to create something. Make sure that you are using what is appropriate for the childcare centers and requirements. What you do at home is going to be very different than what you do in the classroom, and your sense of urgency and health practices should be heightened or increased. Do not put infants in a swing, okay, car seat, or any similar equipment. The higher risk of infant death is associated with babies sleeping in these type of equipments, okay? If a baby falls asleep, move him or her to an approved sleep equipment, okay? That's extremely important that you guys remember that. We are dealing with people's children, and they have trusted us with their little precious babies. And it's really important for us to remember that we are here to support them. And with that, we need to make sure that they know that they can trust us, and we're going to make the right decisions with them. So let's keep going on. So when a child becomes sick or ill while they're in your care, you want to keep their information confidential. Don't go on Facebook and be like, oh, Jody Sue was so sick today and her mom took 45 minutes to come pick her up. That's not what you want to talk about on Facebook, okay? I'm just going to say that. You want to make sure that you keep their information confidential, individualize their care, make sure that you write a report, an incident report or illness report. Typically, it's just an incident report for most people. Make sure that you have your director sign it. Make sure you have the family sign it. If you suspect any child that has a communicable disease, remember to sanitize all equipment. You should be sanitizing every day like crazy right now. Also, you want to make sure that if a child has any injuries or anything like that, you also report that so they can go to the doctor and then notify parents when they come and pick up through writing and having that conversation. And you also want to notify any families of any infectious disease that is out there. So please make sure you do that. So again, number one thing that you always want to remember is to document. When you are giving medication, you want to make sure that one, you have one person that does that and they know all the rules, procedures, and policies. You want to make sure that you have a medication form that is signed by the parent or the family and with all of the details of the medication. Then you want to make sure that after it's used, whatever is not used, you want to make sure that you return it to the family. Some people just best practice, even if it's empty, they still give it back to them so that they can have it. All labels must be read carefully. Parents must be given written consent. We talked about that. Any prescription medication also requires families' consent, such as antihistamines, non-aspirin fever reducers, pain relievers, any of that stuff, ointments for dry skin, diaper, sunscreen, things like that. You must not mix medication, okay? If a parent says, put a little bit of this, put a little bit of that, put a little bit of this, pop, well, this is not a cake, okay? We do not mix medication under no circumstance, okay? You have to have the medication set up a certain way. I want to talk about immunization. One of the big things that I want to just put out there, all early learning teachers, they must have their MMR now, and they must submit their immunizations. Some centers are making them do that because we're going to get to the point where we all have to have all of our different shots in order to work with kids. I think it's coming. It's my own hypothesis. So I have it documented now that I said that. And if it comes about, then I'll be like, you're a genius. But I just want to let you know that's probably going to happen. So we need to make sure that we have all of that stuff in our employee files. And also you want to keep a copy too. So health policy examples. That is going to be like a little manual or a book that goes through like policies such as like your disaster plan, your pesticide policy, your animals on premises, health policy. This should be like in a three ring binder located in the office or in the front. Parents usually sign off on this too, or families sign off on this. Teachers should have this in their class so they know the different health practices as well. You want to make sure that you are protecting yourself and you're not giving children certain things that they shouldn't have. So emergency preparedness plan, what do you do if everything goes crazy? Who do you call? Where do you go? On your, some people put it on their doors, like on the exiting doors or in maybe the classroom when they're entering in, they will have like a information plan ahead form where it actually goes over like the address to the center, phone number, contact numbers, things like that. That also will start setting up like the teacher's contact information, their home address, who can they call back in an emergency, and they also will have one for the child. So that way, when emergencies do happen, you're not just like, oh, well, I don't know who to call. I got to call someone and I don't know where to go. This is a very important part that I think maybe gets rushed a little bit in our orientations. So make sure you take time to really go over those health policies and procedures and plans so that people can be successful. And then also too, you want to make sure you have regular drills, you have regular conversations. Make sure that if children if children are in this situation, they know what to do because they've practiced it so many times. So you want to make sure that you regularly scan the home and remove any possible dangers. For example, this actually, I'm spilling all the tea. This actually happened where I was doing like a safety check in backpacks and families had like albuterol in there. And I was like, what is this? And I'm like, it's where the children can get it. So if you're not doing safety checks in those backpacks, you never know what's going to come in there, and all different kind of things can happen. And it is scary. It is crushing it makes you feel crazy. So make sure that there's nothing down below where kids can get in. It can cause harm. And sometimes families forget, like, I put medication in my child's backpack because I was going to take them to grandma's and I left it in there. So make sure that you're doing those safety checks. Make sure that you in their own home, they understand, that they also can do drills as well to make sure that they are prepared at home, such as having a safe first aid kit, having their families talk about the firefighters or police officers, things like that. Giving that conversation started really early, I think, is really important. And I really think it's important for us to prepare our families for that too. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about a little bit here is making sure that you're doing, again, your fire drills, your earthquake drills, you have your emergency preparedness plan up, it's ready to go. Those things will be in our classroom. You'll have access to those files if you need them and you're not in the classroom. I don't mind sharing, so just go ahead and let me know what you need. Also, another one of the drills that I'm going to do some more research on, I'm trying to find some really good videos about people doing lockdown drills. And so make sure that you are practicing those lockdown drills, and you can actually have a police officer come and do like an assessment on your center to figure out what type of lockdown drill you need to do and how you can keep your families and your children safe. So let's look at this next part here. I hope you guys are hanging in there. We're doing great. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. These are the handouts that I had. I just want to go through them so that you can have them. You can use them. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Hello, me. All right. I like that I'm on the screen with you guys because I was so worried about me not being able to be up on the screen. So I'm loving this. So anyways, hand washing tips. This is a hand washing poster. Wash your hands, people. Wash your hands. Okay. Next thing that you have is when you wash your hands. These are when you wash your hands. When you're playing with a pet, when you're using the bathroom, when you blow your nose, when you're touching the cut, playing outside, eating, you got to wash your hands. Then you're going to have this little game in the, or actually this is a checklist here. So, so this is preparing food, storing food, and how should you handle food. So there are some questions that are going to be coming up, you guys, in the assessment, and this will help you get those answers. So make sure you go through those. Just to let you know, leftovers can only be used within a 2-day period. So you can't store food for a long period of time. This is that handy dandy, what you are, what you eat. What things make you go, what things make you slow, and what things make you stop. Daily checklist. This is some great overviews of what you should be looking at and looking for in children. So this goes over the health policy. What would you do? Okay. So these are different steps. They're actually posted in the classroom. Make sure you answer them and make sure that you go through them and you talk about the steps that you would take. Let's do one real quick. Let's do it together. Jamal fell from the swing, bumping his head so hard, a goose egg appears on his forehead. It slowed him down a bit, but he said he was ready to go in for lunch. What do you do? One, great job asking how he's doing, assessing him, right? Two, you're going to definitely do an incident report because that is going to be a huge knot on his head. free, you want to call the family right away. I always tell people, call the family. Do not wait for them to come and be like, oh, I got an incident report for you. No, call them, because that child after lunch, he's probably going to lay down and take a nap. You do not want that. If a parent says, or a family says, no, I want to come get them, I don't want them falling asleep there, I don't feel comfortable, that's great for you to know. But again, you're partnering and you're letting them know what's going on. And you really have to communicate a lot now. If you have a center that the families are not coming into, if you're not over communicating, you're probably putting yourself in a situation that's not going to be good. And then you have your assessment. That's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this session, because I know I did. And I absolutely love all the stuff that you guys are learning. I'm learning a lot. And even though like you see this stuff like 1,000 times, it's like when you go through the information again, it just helps you to learn more and assess where your center is, assess where you are. You know, we're so busy, you guys. This world is so busy. We're expected to know everything, be everything, and I just want you to take a breath and realize that you don't have to be everything. We are not meant to be Superman. We are meant to be the A-Team. We are meant to work together. How wonderful would it be for all the early childhood educators to work together on such a strong platform? I always tell people early childhood education is literally the last place that education has not taken over. It is our sense of freedom. It's my sense of breath. It is the one place that I love just being with other educators and talking and having that free thinking, right? You know, a lot of times, you know, some people are like, well, this person's not educated. This person doesn't have this. Listen, in every field, there's somebody that's unprofessional, right? I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are willing to invest in this, that are willing to be in this, that are willing to till the ground, to have the conversations, to be reflective, to say, you know what, I'm not living my best life as an educator, and I need to revamp myself. I need to take a step back and renew who I am, because I know that I'm passionate about children. I know I'm passionate about education. So how can I put all that I love and do into what I do, and be able to come to my class and just really teach these kids out of love? That Miss Frizzle effect. Those kids were so excited about coming to class. They didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what was going to happen, but they knew one thing: Miss Frizzle was going to be there. And I know that you guys that have been in the game for a while, you guys are there. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys that are just coming into this field. I'm excited for you. I want to definitely encourage you today. I want to give you so much love. I'm passing lots of good energy to you guys. You know, what we do is really hard. And sometimes people look down on us because of whatever reason. Maybe it's the education piece. Maybe it's because they don't see the value in children. Maybe they don't see the value in what you do. But I'm telling you, I see the value in what we do. And keeping keeping a healthy and safe place for our kids is our number one priority right now in this crazy time of the world. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for rocking out with me tonight. I am so grateful. Thank you so much for letting me be your trainer tonight. Thanks for joining my blowout sale. If you guys don't know, $25 for the 30-hour STARS training. Why? Just because. It's the right thing to do right now. You know, the DCYF is going to be taking it over. It's going to eventually be free, which is great. But I love this. I love teaching this class because it allows the new teachers to find their passion, their burn, their flame. And I just love starting that flame. So whatever you do after this, you know that you have done a great thing for your kids. And if you haven't given your best, tomorrow's a new day. You can give them the best tomorrow. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me here at the Learning Project, where we are changing the face of early childhood education. The Learning Project is not about the kids. It's all about you. The work you do is going to change the way you teach. It's going to change the way you connect to children, and it's going to change the way our teachers connect with one another. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next Tuesday.